The enormous Imperial vessel appeared suddenly above Earth's atmosphere, its metallic hull gleaming under the sun. Admiral Quan stood on the command bridge, looking down at the blue planet with cold calculation. His dark uniform fit perfectly against his tall frame as he studied the primitive satellites orbiting Earth. "Another underdeveloped world," he said quietly to Commander Lee, who stood silently beside him. "Their technology is barely spaceworthy." Commander Lee nodded. "Their most advanced ships can barely reach their own moon. The Empire will have no trouble here." Admiral Quan allowed himself a small smile. "Send the message to the Imperial Council. Tell them Earth appears suitable for standard integration protocols." What neither of them knew was that their every word was being intercepted by systems far more advanced than anything they could detect. Far below, in a bunker deep beneath Seoul, General Park watched the Imperial ship on high-definition screens. Unlike the fear showing on the faces of other world leaders connected via secure channels, her expression remained calm. "They see exactly what we want them to see," she told the assembled military leaders. "For 50 years, we have prepared for this moment." Colonel Han, her chief of operations, checked the data streaming across his tablet. "The Imperial scanners are only detecting our decoy facilities. The underwater bases remain undetected." General Park nodded. "Good. We continue as planned." 3 days later, the official first contact ceremony took place in an open field outside New York. The Imperial delegation descended in a smaller shuttle, its engines surprisingly quiet. Admiral Quan led a group of 6 officers, each wearing ornate uniforms displaying their rank in the Galactic Empire. Earth's humble delegation awaited them, dressed in simple diplomatic attire. General Park had been selected as Earth's representative, her military background hidden beneath the title of Diplomatic Coordinator. "We welcome you to Earth," she said with a deep bow. "We are honored that the great Galactic Empire has found our small world worthy of attention." Admiral Quan barely inclined his head in acknowledgement. "The Empire brings peace and advancement to all worlds under its protection. Your people will benefit greatly from our guidance." "Of course, General," Park replied, keeping her eyes respectfully lowered. "Earth has much to learn from your advanced civilization." That evening, the Imperial delegation was given a tour of Earth's most advanced space center, a carefully constructed facility with technology deliberately designed to appear about 20 years ahead of public knowledge, but centuries behind Imperial capabilities. "Primitive propulsion systems," Commander Lee commented quietly to Admiral Quan as they were shown Earth's newest rocket design. "They still use chemical fuel." "Exactly as our scouts reported," Quan replied. "This integration will be simple. They have abundant resources and no means to resist our harvesting operations." What the Imperial visitors failed to notice was the small device in General Park's pocket, transmitting every word to Earth's true command centers hidden around the planet. One such center lay 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor. Lieutenant Choi sat at his station monitoring the incoming transmission. Around him, the massive underground hangar stretched for kilometers, housing sleek spacecraft, built with technology that would shock the Imperial visitors. "They're completely convinced," Choi told his section commander. "Operation Facade is proceeding exactly as planned." "Good," the commander replied. "Keep the camouflage systems at maximum. If they detect even one of our true ships, the advantage of surprise is lost." Far beneath the Atlantic Ocean, another hidden base was running final preparations on Earth's flagship vessel, the Defender. Captain Min walked through its gleaming corridors, checking systems that incorporated technologies stolen from a dozen different galactic civilizations over the past century. "How long until the ship is ready?" she asked her chief engineer. 3 more days, he replied. "The gravity weapons are still calibrating, but everything else is operational." "Perfect," Min said. "We'll need every advantage when the time comes." Back on the surface, Admiral Quan was presenting General Park with the initial friendship treaty, a document filled with seemingly generous terms that actually gave the Empire complete access to Earth's resources. "We look forward to a long and productive relationship," Quan said as cameras recorded the historic moment. General Park signed with a humble smile, playing her role perfectly. Earth is grateful for the Empire's generosity. Neither the cameras nor the Imperial delegates noticed the slight motion of her hand, activating a hidden signal to Earth's secret fleet. The message was simple: 14 days until emergence. The trap was set. The Galactic Empire had no idea what awaited them. The Imperial Tower rose above Sol's skyline, a gleaming monument to the Empire's presence on Earth. Inside his luxurious office on the highest floor, Imperial Economic Advisor Kim reviewed reports with growing satisfaction. 3 months had passed since first contact, and Earth was proving remarkably cooperative. "The humans have already met our silicon production quotas," he told Admiral Kwan, who stood gazing out at the city. "They've shown no resistance to our resource demands." Admiral Kwan nodded without turning. "As expected. Their technology level makes resistance futile." "Have you presented the new quotas?" "Scheduled for today's meeting with their United Council," Kim replied, gathering his tablets. "I've increased demands by 30%. Let's see how obedient they truly are." 2 hours later, Kim sat across from General Park and Earth's representatives in a large conference room. His expression remained neutral as he listed the Empire's new requirements. "Your silicon production facilities will be transferred to Imperial oversight. All uranium deposits will now be exclusively mined for Imperial use. And we require 10,000 human workers for our new processing centers." He paused, watching for anger or resistance. "This is non-negotiable." General Park nodded with apparent resignation. "Of course. Earth understands its place in the greater galactic community. We will begin preparations immediately." Kim couldn't hide his surprise at the easy capitulation. These humans were even more submissive than anticipated. After the meeting, General Park walked through the underground passage connecting the government building to a secure bunker. Colonel Han was waiting with a small team of officers. "They've taken the bait completely," Park said once the security doors sealed. "Their arrogance blinds them. Is the fleet ready?" Colonel Han activated a holographic display showing hundreds of vessels positioned in underwater bases around the globe. Final weapons calibrations are underway. The last stealth systems are being installed on the smaller attack craft. And the Imperial surveillance? Still only monitoring our decoy facilities. Their scanners can't penetrate our shielding technology. General Park studied the display with grim satisfaction. 9 days remaining. Prepare the final briefing for all fleet commanders. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Choi piloted his small submersible through the vast underwater tunnel network connecting Earth's hidden bases. The tunnels had been built decades ago using boring technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel in 1952. The Empire had no idea these passages existed. Choi docked at Command Base Omega, hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean floor. After decontamination, he reported directly to Captain Min. "I've brought the final targeting data," he said, handing over a secure data crystal. "The Imperial fleet maintains standard formation above Earth's major cities. Their shields are only activated during night hours to conserve energy." Captain Min examined the data. "Overconfidence. They believe we possess no weapons capable of threatening their ships." She looked up at Choi. "Have you been assigned to a vessel for emergence?" "Yes, Captain. I'll be piloting an interceptor in the first wave." Min nodded. "Good. Get some rest. When emergence begins, there won't be time for sleep." On the Imperial flagship hovering above New York, Science Officer Song frowned at his monitoring station. For the 3rd time this week, his instruments had detected unusual energy fluctuations from Earth's oceans. "Commander Lee," he called. "I'm recording anomalous readings from the Pacific region again." Lee glanced at the data and shrugged. "Probably just geothermal activity. The Imperial database classifies Earth as geologically active. But the pattern seems almost..." Song hesitated. "Artificial. The humans can barely build functioning satellites," Lee scoffed. "They certainly don't have technology capable of generating energy signatures like these. Run a diagnostic on your equipment." Song nodded reluctantly. "Yes, Commander." What neither officer realized was that the Imperial database on Earth had been carefully manipulated decades before their arrival. The energy signatures were from test activations of Earth's gravity drive systems, technology stolen from 7 different civilizations and improved upon by human engineers. In Washington, D.C., General Park met privately with the world leaders who knew the truth. Some showed nervous tension as the final countdown approached. "What if their reinforcements arrive early?" asked one president. "Our element of surprise would be lost." General Park displayed the latest deep space surveillance data. Imperial, reinforcements remain on schedule. They won't arrive for another 3 weeks, long after emergence. "And if this fails?" another leader asked quietly. Park's expression turned grim. "If we fail, humanity becomes just another enslaved species in their empire. But we won't fail. For 3 generations we've prepared while maintaining our facade of technological backwardness." She brought up images of Earth's secret fleet. "In 9 days the Empire learns the truth, and the galaxy's balance of power changes forever." As she spoke, thousands of pilots, engineers, and soldiers were taking their positions in hidden bases around the world. Earth's true military power, concealed for decades, was about to be revealed, and the unsuspecting Empire would never know what hit them. The grand ceremonial hall glittered with decorations. Imperial banners hung from high ceilings while officers in formal uniforms mingled with Earth's supposedly submissive leaders. Admiral Kwan stood on a raised platform, watching with satisfaction as humans and aliens alike gathered for what he considered his greatest triumph. "Today marks the formal integration of Earth into the glorious Empire," he announced, his voice carried by speakers throughout the hall. "A historic moment that will benefit all parties involved." Behind his confident smile, Admiral Kwan calculated the wealth this small blue planet would bring the Empire. Earth's minerals alone would advance his career significantly. The obedient population would provide excellent labor for Imperial projects. General Park approached the ceremonial table where the surrender document waited. She wore a simple white dress deliberately chosen to appear non-threatening. Various world leaders stood nearby, their expressions appropriately solemn. "General Park will now sign on behalf of Earth's United Council," announced Commander Lee. "This document transfers all sovereign rights to the benevolent protection of the Galactic Empire." As cameras broadcast the event worldwide, General Park paused before the document. The Imperial delegation watched expectantly. Admiral Kwan nodded encouragingly, already thinking about his upcoming promotion. Instead of reaching for the ceremonial pen, General Park calmly touched her wrist device. Her voice was clear and firm as she spoke a single phrase. "Emergence protocol. Now." For 2 seconds, nothing happened. Admiral Kwan's smile began to falter. Then the floor trembled. Outside, car alarms began blaring across the city. "What is happening?" Commander Lee demanded, reaching for his weapon. General Park's demeanor transformed completely. Gone was the humble diplomat. In her place stood a military commander, straight-backed and confident. "The end of your deception, Admiral, and the end of ours." On screens throughout the hall, video feeds showed impossible events unfolding worldwide. The calm Pacific Ocean churned violently as massive structures broke through its surface. Doors in mountainsides across continents slid open, revealing cavernous hangars. The ground split in key locations, revealing launch platforms rising from below. But most shocking of all, directly above the Imperial fleet, hundreds of warships suddenly appeared in Earth's orbit, their advanced cloaking systems disengaged simultaneously. "Impossible," gasped Science Officer Song, staring at sensor readings that showed vessels far larger than anything the Empire had brought to Earth. On the Imperial flagship, confusion turned to panic as massive ships, each dwarfing the Imperial vessels, surrounded them in perfect formation. Officers scrambled to battle stations only to discover their weapon systems mysteriously offline. Back in the ceremonial hall, Admiral Kwan's face had drained of color. "What trickery is this?" he demanded, his voice no longer commanding. "General." Park's smile was cold. "Not trickery, Admiral. Strategy. For 70 years we've observed your empire consuming world after world. We decided to prepare accordingly." The screens now showed Earth's true fleet emerging from its hiding places. Ships rose from underwater bases, mountain hideaways, and desert bunkers. Advanced fighters streamed from hidden hangars. The orbital vessels tightened their formation around the helpless Imperial fleet. You couldn't have built these," Admiral Kwan stammered. "Your technology was primitive." "A careful facade," General Park replied. "While you saw what we wanted you to see, we were building, learning, and preparing." She activated her communication device again. "Captain Min, status report." The voice that answered came through clearly. "Earth's orbital fleet has secured all Imperial vessels. Their weapons and engines are neutralized. No casualties on either side." "And planet side?" "All emergence points reporting successful deployment. The defensive grid is active. We have complete control of Earth space." Admiral Kwan sank into a nearby chair, his world collapsing around him. "How is this possible? Our intelligence, our surveys, were based on what we allowed you to see," General Park explained. "Did you think Earth wouldn't notice your scout ships over the decades? We captured your first one in 1952. Murmurs spread among the Imperial officers as they realized the implications. Their supposedly primitive conquest had been studying them for generations. On screens throughout the hall, Earth's true military might continue to emerge. Sleek vessels with technology clearly matching or exceeding Imperial standards took position in Earth's atmosphere and orbit. Fighter squadrons performed precision maneuvers around paralyzed Imperial ships. "What happens now?" Admiral Kwan asked, quietly, his arrogance replaced by uncertainty. General Park nodded to her officers, who moved to secure the Imperial delegation, not roughly but firmly. "Now, Admiral, we renegotiate. Earth will not be your next conquest. Instead, your empire will deal with us as equals, or face consequences your leadership cannot imagine." Outside, Earth's hidden fleet continued to emerge from oceans, mountains, and deserts. A powerful armada that had remained invisible until the perfect moment. The sky filled with ships of human design, but incorporating technologies from across the galaxy. The Galactic Empire's easy conquest had just become their worst nightmare. Admiral Kwan paced the conference room of his captured flagship, his polished boots clicking against the floor with each angry step. 6 hours had passed since Earth's dramatic revelation, and the Imperial commander still struggled to process how completely he had been deceived. "This is an outrage," he shouted at General Park, who sat calmly at the opposite end of the long table. "The Empire will not tolerate this treachery. When our reinforcements arrive—" "Your reinforcements won't be coming," General Park interrupted, sliding a tablet across the table. "These are real-time images from our deep space monitoring network." Admiral Kwan stared in disbelief at footage, showing Imperial reinforcement vessels surrounded by even more Earth ships near Jupiter's orbit. "That's impossible," he whispered. "Those ships weren't scheduled to arrive for another week." "We intercepted your communications," General Park explained simply. "We've known your plans from the beginning." Outside the conference room window, Earth's fleet maintained perfect formation around the captured Imperial vessels. Sleek black fighters patrolled between larger warships, their designs unlike anything in the Empire's database. "What do you want?" Admiral Kwan finally asked, his voice quieter. "What every species wants when confronted by your empire," General Park replied. "Freedom, autonomy, and justice for the worlds you've already conquered." Before Admiral Kwan could respond, Commander Lee burst into the room. "Admiral, Earth forces are boarding all our vessels simultaneously." On the Imperial flagship's main deck, Captain June led his boarding team with practiced efficiency. His soldiers moved through corridors in perfect formation, their black armor absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Unlike the bulky battle suits used by Imperial troops, Earth's combat armor was sleek and flexible. "Engineering secured," reported one squad leader through the comm system. "Bridge secured," added another. Captain June nodded. "Proceed to command systems. Remember, minimal force unless absolutely necessary." The Imperial crew members they encountered offered little resistance, most staring in shock at the advanced weapons pointed their way. Earth's soldiers secured them quickly but gently, binding their hands with devices that locked around their wrists like liquid metal. In the main engine room, Lieutenant Choi supervised the installation of Earth monitoring devices on the Imperial propulsion systems. "Fascinating design," he commented to his engineering team. "Almost identical to the schematics we recovered from their scout ship in 1978. Which means they haven't improved their drive technology in over 40 years, noted one engineer. "Our gravity drives are at least 2 generations more advanced." Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, the massive dreadnought Serenity, Earth's flagship, positioned itself alongside the largest Imperial vessel. At nearly twice the size, it made the once intimidating Imperial ship look small by comparison. Inside the Serenity's command center, Captain Min watched as data streamed in from boarding parties across the Imperial fleet. "All Imperial vessels secured," reported her tactical officer. "No casualties on either side. Their weapons remain disabled." Captain Min nodded. "Begin downloading their navigational data. I want complete maps of Imperial territory and all their military installations." Back in the conference room, Admiral Kwan had finally regained some composure. "What is the meaning of this deception?" he demanded, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. General Park remained calm. "For 3 centuries we've observed your empire consuming world after world. We saw how you present yourselves as benevolent visitors before stripping planets of resources and enslaving populations." She activated a holographic display showing dozens of worlds. "These civilizations trusted you. They signed your friendship treaties and surrendered their sovereignty. Now they mine their own planets for your benefit." Admiral Kwan's mouth tightened. "The Empire brings order to primitive worlds. The Empire brings exploitation," General Park corrected. "But Earth chose a different path. While maintaining our facade of technological inferiority, we built alliances with other worlds that escaped your notice." The hologram shifted to show other alien vessels now joining Earth's fleet. "How many?" Admiral Kwan asked hoarsely. 17 species have joined our coalition so far," General Park replied. "All victims of Imperial deception in the past, all now armed with technology we've shared." On the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Captain June finished securing critical systems. His team had disabled destructive protocols that might have allowed Imperial officers to scuttle their vessels. "Admiral Kwan's personal logs are fascinating," he told his lieutenant. "He's led 6 other peaceful integrations before Earth. All those worlds are now stripped of resources and their populations work in Imperial labor camps." The lieutenant checked her tablet. "The Coalition fleet reports all Imperial communications have been intercepted. The Empire still doesn't know what's happened here." Captain June smiled slightly. "They'll learn soon enough." As Earth's sunrise bathed the fleet in golden light, the balance of power across the galaxy had already shifted. The Empire's easy conquest had turned into the beginning of their greatest challenge, all because they had underestimated a supposedly primitive world that had been watching, waiting, and preparing for this moment for generations. The Grand Hall of the United Nations in Geneva had been transformed. Where once only humans gathered, now representatives from 17 different species filled the ancient chamber. Their appearances varied dramatically, some tall with iridescent skin, others short with multiple limbs, but all shared the same determined expression. General Park stood at the central podium, her military uniform replaced by formal diplomatic attire. Behind her, a massive screen displayed evidence of Imperial atrocities spanning centuries. "For too long, the Galactic Empire has presented itself as a force for progress while exploiting world after world," she said, her voice translated simultaneously for all delegates. "Today we present the truth." The evidence was damning. Forced labor camps on mineral-rich planets, ecological devastation from Imperial mining operations, and cultural genocide against species who resisted integration. Admiral Kwan watched from a secure viewing area, his face grim. Once proud Imperial officers stood guard beside him, now wearing simple gray uniforms without rank insignia. "You've destroyed everything the Empire built over millennia," he said quietly to Colonel Han, who supervised his detention. Colonel Han shook his head. "The Empire built nothing. It only took." Now balance returns to the galaxy. In orbit, Earth's massive fleet had been joined by vessels from coalition worlds. The combined armada stretched across space, visible even from the ground as points of light moving in perfect formation. On the renamed flagship Horizon, formerly Admiral Kwan's command vessel, Captain Min supervised communications with distant star systems. 3 more worlds have requested protection from Imperial forces, reported her communications officer. They've heard about Earth's stand against the Empire. Captain Min nodded. Send coalition representatives immediately. Priority to worlds facing imminent Imperial harvesting operations. Across the galaxy, news spread rapidly. Planets that had feared the Empire for centuries suddenly saw hope. Underground resistance movements emerged into the open. Imperial governors on dozens of worlds faced populations no longer willing to submit. Back in Geneva, General Park continued addressing the assembled representatives. Earth extends protection to any world wishing to join our galactic cooperative, she announced. The age of Imperial exploitation ends today. Our combined fleets will ensure no world faces Imperial aggression alone again. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval, everything from human applause to the musical tones of the SETI delegates and the deep rumbling of the massive Taurian representatives. Lieutenant Choi, newly promoted to captain, walked through the corridors of his new command, the advanced exploration vessel Discovery. Engineers made final adjustments to systems while his crew prepared for their first mission. I never imagined our first steps into the galaxy would be as liberators, his navigation officer Bay remarked, studying their planned route. Choi smiled. Humanity has always been good at surprising others. Now we get to surprise the entire galaxy. Their mission was diplomatic rather than military, establishing formal relations with worlds beyond Imperial influence. Earth's strategy was clear: build a network of allies before the Empire could recover from its shocking defeat. In what had once been Imperial headquarters on Earth, now repurposed as the Cooperative Command Center, General Park met with the Coalition Military Council. Representatives from all 17 species contributed to strategic planning. Imperial forces have withdrawn from the Proxima system, reported a tall, blue-skinned commander, but they're regrouping in these sectors. The holographic map highlighted 3 star clusters glowing red. They still don't understand what happened, added Colonel Han. Their leadership believes this was a carefully planned ambush rather than a century of preparation. Let them believe that, General Park replied. Their underestimation of primitive species is our greatest advantage. Admiral Kwan had been given comfortable but secure quarters with access to limited information. Earth's leaders had decided against imprisonment, instead using him as a channel for negotiations with Imperial leadership. Your coalition cannot stand against the full might of the Empire, he warned General Park during their weekly meeting. When our Grand Fleet arrives, your Grand Fleet is already responding to rebellions on 7 core worlds, General Park interrupted. The Empire built its power on fear. Once that fear vanishes, so does control. As weeks passed, the prediction proved accurate. Imperial forces found themselves stretched thin, responding to uprisings across their territory while simultaneously trying to contain the growing coalition. Captain Choi's Discovery returned from its first diplomatic mission with representatives from 5 new worlds seeking alliance with Earth. Each brought unique technologies and knowledge to share. In orbit above Earth, shipyards that had remained hidden for decades now operated openly, producing vessels that combined technologies from multiple species. Earth's strategy of learning from everyone while revealing nothing had created technological advancement beyond even Imperial understanding. We should have recognized the signs, Admiral Kwan said one evening, staring at Earth's nightlights from his window. No truly primitive species could have maintained such perfect deception. The guard assigned to him, a young lieutenant, replied simply, "Perhaps the Empire should have learned that appearances can be deceiving, and that underestimating others is the first step toward defeat." As Earth's coalition expanded across the stars, the age of Imperial dominance faded into history, replaced by cooperation between worlds that had finally found the courage to stand together against tyranny.